All right. Hang on says we're live, so we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Crossbones MMA's UFC 187 pre-fight show. My name is Eddie Law. That's Jesse Ruvalcaba down there, and I guess out of the cave of hibernation, we got Aaron Robbins, and expecting Fred Kirby on sometime soon, hopefully. How you doing, Aaron?
I came out of retirement.
He can't even retirement. He didn't even send a tweet. He just did it.
Yeah, no, thanks for all the cheese. I like cheese, and I decided to retire old, but then 2 minutes later I decided not
to. Real quick, because obviously that's like the thing right now. Conor McGregor retires and then unretires in a day. The fight with him and Nate Diaz basically canceled. Nate Diaz is supposed to still be on 200. Conor McGregor's off. Aaron, when you first heard about the Conor McGregor bullshit,
What's reaction?
Oh, just publicity stunt.
That's what I thought.
I knew that it would be resolved within a couple of minutes. You know, a day, maybe. There would be some ass kissing here, some ass care.
No, for sure. And what about oh shit! Hey, Mike Jarvis on YouTube says he's alive. Talking about you, Aaron.
Well, I figured.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Anyway, and we're expecting Fred Kirby at some point, maybe in the next 15 minutes or so. So obviously we're gonna break down a card that no one's talking about, obviously because Conor McGregor has a stick up his ass and needs to tweet out a bunch of shit and get people talking about him. But UFC 197 is actually a pretty decently stacked card. UFC Fight Pass early prelims kick off 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time on Fight Pass, of course. First fight of the night, Efrain Escudero against Kevin Lee. We were talking before the show even started, and we pretty much all agree. Well, I know me and Aaron agree. Jesse, what do you think about this fight? But you tell me in a second. But Kevin Lee should destroy Escudero pretty easily, I think. But let's start with Jesse, man. What do you think of this fight?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. This kind of seems like the last hurrah for Escudero, and especially because it seemed like they put a lot of money into him, trying to invest him to be one of those Mexican stars. You know, they brought him down to Mexico. You know, they kind of shut him around, and he kind of turned out like Cain Velasquez, where he just was not performing when they wanted him to perform, and you know, he just didn't have the same namestay as Cain Velasquez, so they put him here up against a guy that, you know, is kind of streaking, looking to, you know, break into what, like the top 5 now that he wants to get into like his division. So Kevin Lee, yeah, like you guys said, I think Kevin Lee's just gonna run over him, pretty much put a beating on him. Escudero really has tried to improve a lot of things. You know, he's been trying to come down here to King's MMA and train and all that stuff, but I just think he needs a lot more time to really develop those skills. So yeah, I think he's going to get ran over pretty easily here.
He's not super young. Time's not something he has a lot in as far as like his fight career. Not a lot of time that he has left in there. So I'm not sure how good he could be, even if he trained every single day. But Aaron, what do you think about Kevin Lee in this fight?
Well, first I want to clear something up. Both of you guys are of Hispanic descent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't call him a Mexican fighter. I have to call him a south of the border American.
Okay.
Because that would be rude of me to point out that he's a Mexican fighter. But no, everything that Jesse said makes sense. And what you said, time's just not on his side. And honestly, Kevin Lee is a physical beast. You know, that's one of his attributes, is he is just a super strong young guy. Escudero, definitely not you would think of as like a super powerful fighter. He gets by, you know what I mean? And apparently Jesse's kids didn't want him doing the show. I love that. I know, and I'm like, dude, I'm on a show. No. But I actually think that unless Kevin Lee does something incredibly stupid and Escudero can tie him up and get him with a submission, I think there's a good possibility that Kevin Lee can actually finish Escudero, even though he's scrappy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. What do you think about Motown? And you were right. You were talking about earlier about his attitude. I think it was about his attitude, even though he's only had like what 3 fights. Oh, never mind. He's had 5 fights.
Yeah, 5 fights. This is his 6th fight in the UFC. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's actually beat pretty good guys. I mean, okay, one pretty good guy, Muntasiri.
Yeah, he's beaten one good guy, and he just has a gigantic ego, and I think that comes from being young. Mm-hmm. He's talented, and he's got a good physique, and he's strong, but he's really undeveloped at this point. I really think that his ego is a little bit bigger than his skill set. And given different circumstances with a different veteran, that might spell disaster, but not with, not with Dad Bod Escudero.
I remember when I think you had him on your show on Stand and Bang, and he was trying to do the show from the fucking beach, right?
Yeah, Escudero, good guy that he is, was actually recording from the beach. That was a lot of fun to edit, Escudero. So Eddie, thank you for reminding me about that. I will be delighted to watch him get smashed. I had to spend like 2 hours editing a 20-minute interview.
Dude, I remember when you were telling me about that. I could hear like your voice is like getting angrier every second you talked about it.
Yeah, the only one that was worse was Alistair Overeem.
Oh, that one you can't. That doesn't compare. That's easily the worst interview I've ever heard from anybody. Like he wouldn't say shit. That was just the weirdest shit. God.
Didn't want to talk about anything.
Yeah, don't want to talk about anything at all. It's like, jeez. All right. Next fight up after those guys go throw down Marcos Rogelio de Lima against Clint Hester, head buster. So you got two guys like who are gonna throw down. De Lima has a lot of one-punch knockout power. I think he's like out of his last 13 fights, 10 of them are knockout wins. Meanwhile, Clint looks like the kind of guy that should be like a killer, right? Like, he even looks like Uriah Hall in certain aspects, but he's not. He's I don't know. To me, he's just he's unknown. We don't know much about him. We don't know really how good he could be. So sorry, we're here with Aaron. What do you think of this fight? Who you got winning?
I would have to say on a scale of 1 to 10 of who gives a shit, I'm at about a 2 on this fight, honestly, but I'm going to go with the south of the border American.
All right, well, that works. Super south of the border. He's Brazilian, but it works for me. We'll take it. We'll take anybody we can get at this point.
Low-key racist. Everybody who isn't American on this card is the south of the border American.
Oh, you're the one on the list, bud. All right, I'm just saying.
That's because I hate fag.
that seriously was like a highlight right there when you got put on that list, and your happy ass, smiley ass face was on there. Yeah, that exact face was on the fucking thing about this guy hates whatever the fucking he's a hate whatever. He was so fucking weird. But anyway, all right, Jesse, what do you think of this fight? Who you got winning?
Man, it's a tough fight for me because I think I'm still a fan and I still hold out hope for Tough, the series. I started watching the most recent Tough, and Clint Hester came through there. He showed something, but to me it wasn't enough. Like he kind of showed something kind of like you said, like Uriah Hall, where he had that potential to be that guy that just muscles people around and beats them up. But then as soon as he got into the UFC, he developed this weird like power safe style where he tries to knock you out, but then he tries to go for the safe win at the same time. It's kind of weird. And I think that reflects his position on the card here, where they just don't have enough faith that he's going to be able to perform and to put on a show. They're just kind of throwing him down there where not a lot of people are going to see him. The same thing with Escudero, like they're just kind of giving him the silent, get out of the UFC type deal. But I agree with that. Both of these guys are probably going to throw down. I just hold out hope that Clint Hester can really weather the storm because he's taken some really good shots from other people before, and I think he can take the shots from the four named Marcos Rogelio de Lima, De Santos, Carlos, whatever the hell his name is, and I think Hester's going to be able to pull out the win. I think it's probably going to be one of those boring Clint Hester type where he like kind of muscles them around a little bit, but it's just going to be a boring decision.
Okay, and here's the thing about Clint Hester. Last two, well, he's got 6 fights in the UFC. Last 2 he lost by TKO against Robert Whitaker and then Vitor Miranda. 2 guys that can hit. The Lima can hit probably harder than both of those guys. So it's going to end the same way. TKO for the South of the Border American.
With these, and I'm really surprised, Jesse, that you're still a fan of Tough. You must be the one person that still watches it. These Fight Pass prelims, at least the first couple, to make them more exciting. Must-win fights. I think they should start getting these guys that are on the chopping block, and you know who's going to be on the cut list after the prelims. If you lose, you're cut. I think that would give them like a sense of desperation. Might make the prelims a little bit better. You're fighting for your job.
You know what? And I watched most of the first episode of Tough 23 just because like I've spoken to a few of the ladies that are on the show now, and I mean the get in the house fights are usually the best fights you're gonna get out of the whole season. There's really zero for me. There's zero reason to watch the rest of it. So
see, there you go. You just confirmed what I said. The reason why that's the best fight is that is a one elimination fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is, you either get in the house or you go the hell home. And I think sometimes if you know you're on the chopping block, well, fight with a sense of urgency. I was happy to see Jamie Moyle get on the show. I was disappointed to see Jody Escobar not get on the show.
That was robbery.
To see Amanda Bobby Cooper on the show.
Yeah. ABC but the Jody fight was fucked up. She won that fight. I don't agree that she lost. That was bullshit. So
I thought Keith Jardine was going to lose his shit and start slapping people around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was scared for everybody in that arena right there, that little gym. I thought he was just going to start slamming people around.
Yeah. Next fight up. What's up?
Like Wick.
Wait, what
You guys seen that show, Wick?
What show?
What the hell's going on here?
No, there's like a little bit of like a tiny bit of lag or whatever. But what show you talking about? Did we see what?
John Wick. The John Wick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keith Jardine gets shot in the head in that movie.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have to go back.
Yeah,
and look
dude,
at
he's
that.
one of the.
No shit.
He's one of the
I'm gonna have to
thugs.
go
He's
back and look at
in the head.
Are you sure that's not Tate Fletcher? That's the one, because I know Tate Fletcher gets shot in the head too.
No, Keith Jardine's in that movie.
You know what's funny? It's all, that group of guys are all in there. That Dan's for whatever the fuck. Keith Jardine and Tate Fletcher are always in movies as bad guys that get shot. So, but yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have to look back and see that. All right, next fight up, we got a couple heavyweights. Walt Harris, the big ticket, against Cody East, the freight train. Now, we were talking about Cody East before the show even started, and while I was preparing for the show, Cody East turns out has a long-ass rap sheet with, like, rape and assaults and a bunch of other shit. He face-stomped his dad. It was a bunch of shit. This dude's fucking nutty. And they signed him to the UFC, which is weird with the UFC trying to be as PC as they possibly can these days. So it's kind of weird signing. They even put him on that Dana White looking for a fight show, and that's how they discovered him and shit. But he comes out of Greg Jackson's camp in New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So, well, we need more heavyweights. We got another one because this one's got a shady past, and you know people are arguing that he shouldn't be in there, and you know there's gonna be people were pretending they were gonna protest and shit. It's not gonna happen, but whatever. But regardless, back to the fight. Heavyweights always dangerous, knock each other out. A lot of people saying Cody East is gonna be quicker. His hand, he's more accurate. His hands are this and that. He's got, he's a I think a state champion in wrestling. While Walt Harris, to me, is kind of like a guy. I mean, what does he do? Just kind of throws a big left, trying to land a knockout punch every time. So I don't know, Jesse. What do you think about this fight?
This is one of the fights that's kind of weird for me because, like you were saying, both of these guys are just pretty much the next, like, I don't know, like kind of gatekeepers, door openers for the heavyweights. I mean, these guys get like 2-3 wins. They're probably not going to be like heavyweight contenders, but they're going to be those guys where, new heavyweights are going to come in and try to beat them to get their name, thrown into the mix. So either of these two guys really can put you away one punch. Neither of these guys really have like that superb, cardio or superb, wrestling that you kind of need to be that elite level heavyweight. So I don't know, man. I kind of want Walt Harris to win just because I would hate to see that dude get crushed by Cody East. But you never know. I mean, Cody East seems kind of fast, but I don't know if he can catch Walt Harris. So I'm gonna just go with Walt Harris. I think he's gonna knock him out.
All right, what do you think, Aaron?
I don't know. East sounds like a scumball, so I'm guessing that he's low-key racist. So, big factor in the fight. Big ticket. I have never taken him seriously whatsoever. He just he seems like a guy who could do something, but he's like shocked that he's here at the show. You know, like every time you see Walt Harris, he's like, "Holy shit, I'm a UFC fighter. I'm here with other UFC fighters. I better get on Instagram." He reminds me of Kirby a little bit. But you know what? They're throwing East in, and I am a firm believer in octagon hitters, and I think that that's what it's going to boil down to. I think that he is going to blow his wad early, trying to get Harris out of there, gas out, and Harris, being just a little bit more savvy, will be able to weather the storm and hopefully stomp his rapist dad, face-stomping, low-key racist ass out. I don't like this. Have you noticed?
Yeah, clearly. No, and I just saw right here. It's apparently his criminal history involves rape, battery, and child abuse. So
what the? That guy's got the.
Yeah, he got the trifecta. He's fucked up. I mean, that dude does not want to go to prison. So, all
okay.
right.
Things aside, we've had fucking what's the name there? War Machine,
and
then we had the Silva thing. Yeah, War Machine. We've had the Silva thing. We've had the suspected Travis Brown and this and that and the other thing. What the hell are they thinking? This guy that's actually on his record.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's great, especially with Diego Brandao coming out recently with his battery of some people with a gun.
He pistol whipped a dude at a fucking strip club, and then BJ Penn, with all that shit's going down, he's in Albuquerque too.
That is awesome. The pistol whipping is awesome. Do you know that's Heather Jo Clark's ex-boyfriend?
What the fuck? What?
Diego Brandao?
Yeah.
No shit. It explains quite a bit, to be honest with you.
That is one of the weirdest couples I would have ever heard.
I'm pretty 99% sure that that's the one that I interviewed that she was like, yeah, me and Diego used to date. Really? Okay, cool. Who am I to judge?
Isn't he shorter than her by like a little bit, I think?
Yeah, I don't know.
A little bit.
If she wants to date a south of the border American, that's cool.
Hey, do your thing. No one's judging. Anyway, all right. Next fight up, and that's gonna be that's it for your early prelims. Your FS1 prelims kick off 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. First fight is actually kind of pretty interesting. James Vick against Glyco Franca. James Vick I'm pretty sure he's undefeated still, and he just came off a submission win over Jake Matthews. I think May last year, so he hasn't fought in quite a bit. No, obviously no reason why, or no real reason why, but. Submitted Jake Matthews, obviously undefeated in his whole career. He's 8-0 or 7-0, I think, according to the UFC website, 7-0. And going on against Glyco Franca, who I'm pretty sure is damn good on the ground, and whose hands are just enough to get himself a takedown or a clinch. Aaron, what do you think about James Vick here? Win, no win, and if he wins, is he going to be in there in that 155 title talk?
I don't know about title talk. That's a bit much, but we've interviewed James, real humble kid, real nice guy, no quit in him. And I think he opened up a lot of eyes when he submitted Jake Matthews, because Jake Matthews was, I think, right on the cusp of being one of those little UFC favorites. He had the right looks, the right body style, the right fighting style. He was undefeated. James Vick, kind of a goon, comes in there and takes him out. I think that it's going to boil down to James has better striking and super long limbs. His opponent just wants to drag him to the ground and make it into a ground fight. I think it's going to be really hard for him to get James Vick to the ground.
I think so as well. And he's got like a 3-inch, 4-inch height advantage on him. I don't think there's much difference in reach.
Jesse, real quick, is Jesus?
Yeah, either one.
Okay, I'm just the bottom of my screen keeps saying Jesus.
Yeah. Here to save everybody.
All right.
That's a sign from above telling you to, change your.
Well, then shouldn't we call you Hesse?
This motherfucker. All right. Hesse, what do you think about this fight, man?
See, Hesse's never been on the show with me before.
No, he hasn't.
No, I haven't. No, I agree. I agree. I think that 76-inch reach advantage for James Vick is going to be a big difference here. Um, and I don't think Frank is going to be able to really understand how much that reach is going to affect his kind of okay stand up until he gets in there and he starts getting popped. And then he tries to go for a very long distance takedown and he's going to get stuffed and then popped again. I just think James Vick here is going to be able to really neutralize everything that he brings. And, James Vick isn't, too bad on the ground. I think a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think whatever Glyco is going to be able to put him in any position, he might be able to get him in. I think he's going to be able to fight it off and really just use his well-rounded experience, a little bit more experience in the octagon already. And I think that's what's going to propel him to keep his undefeated streak here going.
I agree with both of you guys. I think it's just going to be James Vick night here with the striking mostly. And again, Franco's going to try and go for takedowns. It's fine, but James Vick has shown he can throw knees, he can do everything. So it's going to be fun to see that uppercut land on Franco every time he even pretends to flinch. All right, next fight up, we got the ladies in the strawweight division. For some reason, Carla Esparza is still number 2. For some reason, I don't understand it. She hasn't fought since March of last year. And under her, Rose Namajunas is at 3, Tisha Torres at 4, Letourneau at 5, Jessica Penne at 6. I don't fucking get the rankings. It's
Wait, who's fighting
Carla Esparza
against
Juliana Lima.
I missed that. I've got no opinion on that one. I missed that completely on the card. I didn't see it.
It's because nobody cares about the fight. Let's be honest. I mean, honestly, I'm done with Cookie Monster. I've been done with Cookie Monster since she got just blitzed to hell by Jen Jacek for the title, and we all knew right away. It's like, okay, yeah, Carla never had any reason to be a champion. It was really 0-0. And Jesus Christ, Danny Moore's going off on the fucking YouTube comments. My bad, dude. I'll start reading them now. Danny says Sparza's ranked number 2 because she had the belt. So? I don't give a fuck. All right, never mind. All right, Jesse, what do you think about the fight, man? What?
Thanks, Dan.
Jesse, what do you think about Esparza in this fight, man?
I'll tell you why Esparza has that coveted number 2 spot. It's because she did beat what's her name, Rose, for the title. So I mean, she still has that win in her pocket, Yeah. So, but that really doesn't mean much here. What do we see here? Both of these girls have losses to just, I don't know, better competition. Joanna Jędrzejczyk did beat Juliana Lima. She beat Carla Esparza. So, I mean, and if you look at Lima's record, I mean, she's got decision wins over, Nina Ansaroff and Erica Almeida. Not very impressive. If you're trying to make a run here, you got to be impressive in this division, in my opinion. I think Rose is really turning the tide here and getting the support behind her. She didn't really impress me too much in that Tisha Torres fight. I thought if she was really going to get like a good push towards the title, she had to really do something and finish that fight, and she didn't. I thought she won that fight, but anyway, I just think Esparza's past her prime already. I think she's been hitting those cookies way too hard at this point. And I think Juliana Lima is going to put her away pretty easily. I think it's probably going to be one of those like women decision where they kind of pop each other here and there, run around, yell a lot, and then a decision that Cookie Monster is going to cry about. So, but I think Lima's going to take this fight.
Well, guys, I would love to stay on the show, but I just got a weird look from my kid, and he's giving me the old come here. So I'll try to jump on later. But Fred should be on. Everybody, thanks for listening, and I'll jump on if I can. Bye.
Bye. Yep, when you gotta take care of it. When you handle business, you gotta go handle business. All right. Here's the thing about Lima, and you were talking about it right now about Lima needing to be a little better because of all the decision wins. She's 34 years old. She's not gonna get any better. I mean, I just don't. I mean, it's highly unlikely that she gets better, right? Meanwhile, Carla's 28 years old. She's had plenty of time off, plenty of time to get better. I just don't believe in her whatsoever. Like, it has nothing to do with her personally, but like her. Okay, maybe I watched too much of that Tough season that made me hate her a little bit because I was like, you fucking mean girls, fucking popular bitch from high school, cunty cunt. Like, stop the shit. Like, that's how she acted because her and who's the other chick? I think she's hot, but needs a mask. So, Fleet Herod. Yeah. Anyway, who, by the way, totally ate shit at Ninja Warrior when she wants to do it again, apparently. So that's weird.
Oh, God.
Did you see that shit? She lost in like the first fucking obstacle. It was fucking hilarious. Oh shit.
Oh, damn. It took him this long to find a shirt. That's why.
It's White Allen Iverson. What's up?
Go fuck yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Kirby, man. How you been?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Aaron was just on. He had to jump off for a second.
What a pussy.
He'll be back probably. But anyway, well, hopefully. We're just talking about this Carla Esparza fight against Juliana Lima in the prelims. What do you think of Esparza?
I think she'll bounce back. Has she fought anybody since she lost the title?
No, since March.
Damn.
Yeah, March of last year.
Yeah. Why has she been off for so long? Was she hurt or some shit?
Who knows? I mean, she said she wanted to take some time off. She was hurt?
Yeah, she hurt something, and she just barely, I think in January, got back into there with Team Oyama, there with Uncle Creepy and all of them, so.
Damn, she's coming off a long layoff, an injury.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Okay,
what kind of injury was it?
I can't remember right now, dude. I just remember reading about that she had an injury that kept her sidelined from coming back as quickly as she wanted to. But
right.
I mean, I'd say I had an injury too and wanted to take an extra time off after that ass whooping I got from Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Shoulder surgery.
Yes.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, I think she'll get back on the right track.
You think so? All right. I mean, she could win. I just don't see it. I think Lima should be able to pick her apart a little bit, but we'll find out. Our next fight up. This motherfucker. Look, the nicknames in MMA gotta change. We gotta do some shit about this shit. Okay, Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, which sounds like some shit you would pick up, Fred. As a nickname. Don't lie.
Dude, Dominic Steele.
And Dominic Steele, nonstop action-packed Dom T's, what he calls himself.
Yeah. Listen, let me just cut you off right there before you start disrespecting Mr. Dom T. He actually trains out of a local gym around here, actually.
I know.
Airborne. Yeah, so kiss my fucking ass, all right? Dom T's the man. He's known as whatever the fuck he wants to be known as. And, if I'm not mistaken, he is coming off a fucking slam knockout of Mr. Hung Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he fucked him up. Chill. Look, he's like, Fred is so like Ohio against the world kind of guy. And the funny thing is, everyone in Michigan's like Detroit against everybody, and everyone in Chicago's like he's Chirac against everybody. It goes over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone hates each other because they're from different cities. But anyway, but you got a point. That slam knockout of Dong Hyun Kim was a motherfucker that nobody saw happening. But that was legit. But I don't know if you could pull that off against Danny Roberts, man. What do you think of that?
Who the fuck is Danny Roberts? Will somebody enlighten me on this show as to why the fuck we should care about Mr. Hot Chocolate?
Jesse?
Oh, man. Why you gotta put it on me? I ain't black. No, I'm just joking.
Oh!
I wish you could offer that one.
Look, Danny Roberts is a legit guy that's been kind of grinding away trying to get into the UFC. But I agree with you. I think Dominic Steele has he's kind of done this thing where he's kind of changed up his style. Because if you look at his record when he first started fighting, he went through a little streak where he was just getting KO'd here and there, and just really I don't know, like he was barely learning the stand-up division of the stand-up of MMA. Now that he's kind of gotten a little bit better, you've seen that he's actually either taking people to decisions or knocking dudes out or putting them down and then submitting them. And I think what's going to happen here is Danny Roberts is going to be in one hell of a fight, and I think Dominic Steele is either going to hurt him and then submit him, or I think he's probably just going to knock him out or TKO him. I just think that Dominic Steele's hands have been looking better recently. Not to say that he didn't get TKO'd, by Zach Cummings, but he's getting better on the stand-up, and I think he's going to be able to pull it off.
Ancient history, that loss.
Yeah, you'd say that about Diaz McGregor 1, wouldn't you?
Always gotta bring up fucking old wounds. No,
we'll talk about that shit.
Ancient history. That's not so ancient history.
We'll talk about that. Don't worry. And you know what, Danny Roberts, for what we've seen in the UFC, we haven't seen much. He beat Nathan Coy by triangle choke in December, and Nathan Coy is
a bird of shit.
Should not be fighting anywhere near a shitbird. There you go. That's good enough. I forget. I'm now just finally getting into the keyboard warriors mood now.
There we go. So what are we? Do we give our picks too?
Yeah. Give your pick. Who you got?
Obviously, Dom Still. Come on, I mean,
All
let's
right.
be real. And
And
the
then,
other cat's from England, right?
Danny Roberts is, I believe, from England. Yeah.
Come on,
Liverpool.
another reason to vote against the guy. Let's go. What the fuck, right? Come on.
Motherfucker, you voting for Trump too? Is that what's going on?
Of course not. Come on. Fuck England.
I hope Andy's watching.
I know. I'm saying that just for him. In case he's watching.
I know.
Fuck you too.
I know. All right.
Chocolate.
Now, all right, and then Jesse, you pick Dom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's an easy pick, really, in just the striking department, the wrestling. I mean, Dominic Steele has the all-around game. Not super polished, but I think polished enough to put down Danny Roberts.
All right. Well, check this out. Danny Moore on YouTube talking about Felice Herrick says she needs Derek the Black Beast Lewis to rip her into being humble.
Yikes.
God damn, Danny, you got nearly violent.
Yeah, settle down, Danny. Go rub one out, for Christ's sakes.
All right. Featured prelim on FS1, number 14 ranked flyweight Sergio Pettis against Chris Kalades. This is actually like a low-key good fight. But we know the history of Sergio Pettis. The Pettis brothers fighting on the same card is never good, and they're doing it once again, which I think is an awful idea. That's literally the only reason I'm going to pick Kalades to win this fight. But Jesse, who you got in this one?
Damn. I think I heard an interview with Duke Rufus, and basically both of the brothers came to I kind of like a came to God moment, where basically they were like, you know what, I don't care what happens to you, and you don't care what happens to me. We're not brothers. We're just fighters that are on the same card from the same team. And I think that dynamic is going to help them to not, fall to that again. I think the other thing that's going to help is that Sergio Pettis is fighting, and then one fight later or 2 fights, 2 fights later, it's Anthony Pettis. So I don't think he's going to have enough time to worry about his brother, because he's going to have to start warming up. He's not going to see that fight, and I think it's going to be a non-issue. Chris Kalades, I mean, he's a great fighter. That fight against Ray Borg was awesome, and he whooped that ass of Patty Houlihan. He's got some good wins. Chris Beal was another one that he won. I mean, Chris Beal. But I just think this is going to be a dynamite fight. It's a perfect fight to end the prelims, and it's going to propel us over to the main card, which, I mean, what we were talking about earlier, this whole card is really like just a bang-up card. I mean, all these fights are going to deliver, in my opinion. Maybe not the Carlos Esparza, Juliana Lima, but whatever. But I think Sergio Pettis is going to pull it off. I think we're going to see the resurgence of the Pettis brothers coming back. The only thing that I don't like is that Sergio is trying to be too much like his brother, and I hope that with that talk, that conversation that they had, hopefully he develops his own style and, the style that he has, which is pretty exciting in its own right.
Then you talking about that, look, Sergio Pettis is not knocking anybody out, but he is a volume puncher. When he starts throwing combos, he sends a lot of fucking shots. So, he's not going to be his brother. He's just going to be, who he is. Brad, who you got in this one, man?
I like Sergio, man. And you know what? To be honest with you, I don't really buy into the whole hype about you know why Anthony Pettis lost to RDA? Because he got popped in his goddamn eyeball in that first round.
Yeah.
He got socked. I don't buy none of that shit. I don't think it had maybe a tiny bit. But at the end of the day, Anthony Pettis just got caught in the first round and never really recovered from it. I don't think it was some tragic thing with his brother losing. He wasn't that goddamn shook up about it. That shit don't matter. Sergio's got the talent. I don't know, man. I think that Sergio should win this fight for sure. He does seem like the type of guy that'll never really reach his full potential. Kind of like he'll always live in Anthony Pettis' shadow a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'll win this fight. I think they're kind of lobbing him a softball here. Kalades is a good fighter and all, but Sergio should win this shit. He's got the tools to win it for sure. So, barring anything unforeseen, he should coast to victory here.
And I agree with you. This is set up for Sergio to have a chance to show the UFC something, right? He deserves to be there. He deserves to be, ranked and all that shit. But I don't know. I like Chris Kalades, but I'm gonna pick Chris Kalades just literally because
you suck.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you kind of feel like because of his name, he's getting put into the same thing as Randy Couture's son? Was it Ryan Couture? Where they threw him in there with these hardcore guys that just had all this experience and everything, and they're like, oh, well, he's a couture, so he can handle it. Do you think that's the same thing that's happening with, Anthony Pettis' brother, where they kind of throw him against, like, these guys that are, like, more advanced than him, and if they just bring him up a little bit slower, maybe he could actually develop himself better?
No. I mean, he lost to who? Bruce Leroy? Like, was Bruce Leroy really that much more advanced than Sergio Pettis at that point in the game? I mean,
yeah, he lost to Bruce Leroy and Ryan Benoit.
Yeah, nah. I mean, how much slower along can they bring the fucking guy, Ryan Benoit? I mean, listen, he's got fucking talent. Going into the Bruce Leroy fight, I think he was probably favored to win that fight. I think Bruce Leroy winning that fight was somewhat of a surprise. So no, not particularly. I don't think he has that much. I don't think they're throwing him to the wolves. I'll put it to you like that. He may have some lofty expectations on him because of who his older brother is, but he's definitely getting the right fights. He should be able to win for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? To me, that what showed me that Sergio Pettis is, he's just a young talent. You got to bring him up and everything. Look, the name for sure puts pressure on him. No, there's no doubt about it. He's got to live up to the Showtime kick. He's got to live up to taking Benson Henderson's belt twice. He's got to live up to all that shit in the eyes of like most fans, I would say.
Me.
It's because of the last name. Because in the eyes of you, fine, in the eyes of you. But in the eyes of anybody that thinks that puts weight on that Pettis last name, he's got to live up to all that shit. But when he beat Chris Carriazo, even if it was by decision, Chris Carriazo lost. The last 3 fights that he had were all losses, or last 2 fights were losses to Henry Cejudo and Demetrius Johnson, who are fighting for the title tomorrow. Okay, so beating Chris Carriazo to me puts a lot of weight on it. So we can say he's not as experienced as a lot of guys, but he's fought at least a couple legit dudes. So I give Sergio Pettis a lot of credit. I think he's gonna do great. I think it's gonna be a good fight. I just hope. I don't know why. Just for some reason, them being on the same card bothers me. But what are you gonna do? All right, that's gonna be it for FS1 prelims. And let's kick on the main card, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time, only on pay-per-view. First fight of the night, 2 of my favorite fighters in the UFC, Yair Rodriguez against Andre Touchy-Feely. This is gonna be a good fucking fight, man. This is literally like low key. To me, this could be fight of the night, even with the Jones and the Pettis fight and all that shit. Even Whitaker and Natal could be, could possibly be it. But I got Rodriguez-Feely as the fight of the night. Obviously, we see Yair Rodriguez is a star in the making. He's coming up, and he's coming up not as fast as most other stars, but he's coming up, right? And Andre Feely might have the best nickname ever, like ever. Like he beats Uncle Creepy by a shit ton. Andre Touchy-Feely is who would beat him? If Ryan Bader changed his middle name or his nickname to Master, it would fucking beat everybody's nickname. Okay, because one, it shows you can laugh at yourself. You're not taking shit seriously, and you think you're a nice guy. Andre Touchy-Feely, it really gets no better than that. So let's start with Fred here. What do you think about this fight, man?
This is a great fight, man. But you know what? Honestly, I really like Yair in this fight. How do you say it? Say it again, Eddie.
Yair?
Yeah, look at that fucking tongue. You probably eat a mean snatch, don't you?
I've been
complimented. I can't do that.
I've been complimented, my friend. I can roll my R's pretty well.
Listen, I think Rodriguez is going to finish Touchy-Feely, man. I think that Touchy-Feely's got talent, but he still kind of seems like the weak link. Is he on alpha male?
Yeah, he's still alpha male.
I still low-key think he's the weak sister of that team, man. And I actually got a lot of a lot of hype around Yair. I think that dude's super talented, man. And I definitely think he'll outstrike Touchy-Feely. So I think if Touchy-Feely's going to win this fight, he's going to have to turn it into a grapple fest, which I think that Yair's probably good enough at this point and big enough for the division that he can keep him off of him and make him strike with him. And I got to say, man, not to get too high on the fucking train too early, but Yair's striking is some of the most, innovative striking I've seen in a long time. And it's not ineffective. You know what I'm saying? That dude throws some crazy shit, but it low-key be landing. He doesn't really throw a lot of shit that just whiffs by a mile. So, Yair, all day. Finish.
He's very, very accurate. That's what's really good about him.
Yeah.
And then, and just to remind me, he trains over with Jackson's now, right?
Who, Yair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Jesus.
He's a bad motherfucker, man. What do you think of that fight, man? Who you got?
There's some dick riding over here. But I agree with you guys. I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a closer fight than a lot of people think. I think a lot of people are taking Yair at what they've seen and how exciting he can be. But I mean, think about it. Touchy-feely also took Max Holloway almost to a decision. He got caught at the last round. Some people were saying he won, like, I think the first or second round, one of those rounds that he actually won, pieced up Max Holloway a little bit. So I think it's going to be a closer fight than that. But yeah, I mean, I gotta agree. I mean, Rodriguez, that style, I gotta say, it's kind of like a John Jones type style where you kind of don't know what he's going to do to you. But when he does something, it's going to hurt, and you're probably not going to like it. And he just has that exciting, gene that we all like to see. And honestly, I think, like Kirby said, touchy-feely, he has this streak of winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. And I think this is the one where he's going to drop again. And I just don't think he has all the skills that the other Team Alpha Male guys have. I mean, I think his wrestling's not as crisp, as good as the other guys, and I think his boxing is not that good either. So I think he should probably be one of the guys that moves over to elevation and kind of learns something different, and improves instead of staying there at Team Alpha Male and just not getting any better. So, but I think it's going to be a closer fight than most people think.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I think that if Touchy-Feely can't take him down or can't keep him pressed against the cage, he's fucked. And if he can implement a grappling game on him, even to a small degree, then the fight will be relatively close. But if Yair shakes off a couple takedowns and gets his back off that cage and makes him strike with him, I think he's going to fuck Touchy-Feely up. He's going to touch Touchy-Feely up is what he's going to do, Jack.
The thing about Touchy-Feely is I've always thought he was at the wrong camp. I never liked him over at Alpha Male. I always thought he was an Alliance guy, or maybe like not ATTS too much. I think maybe even a Kings MMA guy. If you put him with Kings MMA with the Feely being pretty good on the ground, put him with Cordero, teach him some striking. I'd be okay with that. That'd still be a little weird. I think I'm leaning still more Alliance with a guy like Cruz to learn from and all that. I'd be cool with that, but I think Yair Rodriguez is gonna win this. I mean, he's just that dude's good. Everyone, just like you said, if Feely can't take him down and keep him down, or put him on the cage and land knees to the stomach and all that shit, gas him out, which I don't think he can be able to do. Then it should be Yair Rodriguez all day. It shouldn't even be. It should be a finish. But Andre Feely has mad heart, like mad heart. He will fight to the very end. So I'm expecting a decision fight, but I'm gonna go with Yair.
But before we push on from this fight, if Yair does win this fight, let's just say hypothetically he wins this fight and he gets a finish. Do you get crazy with him? Like, do you throw him in the deep end, or what would a dominant win here mean for him?
All right, so last his only three fights in UFC, all wins, but there were Leonardo Morales, which he won by decision. He got a split decision over Charles Rosa and a decision win over Dan Hooker. So
those are decent wins, though.
No, those are good wins, but it's still not enough to be like, hey, here's a top 5 guy. I mean, you could do that, but at 145 pounds, you got plenty of talent up there to not have to rush him. Now, if he was a 125er, please believe they'd be like, oh yeah, he's after Henry Cejudo. He gets the title shot next. For sure they do that to him. But at 145, 155, which I think he could fight at some point, nah, there's no reason to shove him off. What do you think, Jesse?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I was saying about Pettis, I think he's the type of guy where you don't want to, put the wagon before the horse or whatever they say. You kind of want to see like him advance in levels. You kind of make sure that he's ready enough for the next level. I mean, put him up against maybe number 14, number 15, somewhere around there in his next fight, and see where that takes him. Just kind of bring him up slowly, because you don't want to take him too far up the ladder and then him get crushed by somebody and then it just looks really bad. So, but I mean, I agree. I think you just gotta keep him advancing slowly. Yeah,
real quick, catching up on the tweets here. Andrew Reed tweeting over. Basically aimed at Kirby. Better a shitbird than a ghost bird, Ginger. And then he says, both Pettis brothers will lose, and those tight cornrows are distorting what little brain Fred has. He's not even on the show, and he's coming at you. And then on YouTube, Mike Jarvis, of course, coming out with the famous Team Alpha Bale. And then Danny Moore says, Yair is tough as fuck. I saw him beat Hooker live at UFC 192. Yeah, it's he's just to me he's just too good, too strong everywhere. And
Dan Hooker.
Huh?
Dan Hooker is low-key a beast too, man. That's a good win for him.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah,
I like that. In fact, Danny said that shit on here too. He says Hooker is a fucking beast, man. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Legit.
No, he's definitely legit. All right, next fight on the main card, number 7, Robert Whittaker against number 13, Rafael Natal. A fight in the middleweight division. I'm kind of done with Natal. I'm pretty much done with Natal. And I like Robert Whittaker.
Yeah, can I go for? I can't stand Rafael Natal. I hope that boy gets his ass whooped just so we don't gotta see him fight no more. He can take his funny ass to the WSOF, or better yet, the Risen or Ryzen. Maybe he can fight Fedor next.
Yeah, he can take steroids and all that.
I can't stand watching that boy fight. Nobody drags their goddamn card down like Rafael Natal. Matter of fact, why the fuck is this dude on the main card?
I have no fucking
Because
clue.
he's riding a 4-fight win streak.
Oh, fuck me. There
Okay,
you go.
let's
Take
look
it all
at
the
the
way
4-fight
down
win streak.
myself.
Hold up. So he's been in the UFC for fucking ever now. But that 4-fight win streak, Chris Camozzi by split, Tom Watson by decision, Uriah Hall by split, and Kevin Casey by TKO. But who isn't beating Kevin Casey these days? Everybody's beating Kevin
True.
Casey.
Uriah Hall's his best win in there, and Uriah Hall's totally like a fucking mental case.
And that was a split. And then, of course, Tim Kennedy knocked him the fuck out a few years ago.
Ah, yes. Yes.
And it was
that's
nasty.
true.
Okay. So, I mean, look, I'm with you. I'm tired of Natal. Like, all the promise he was supposed to have and all this other shit, it's kind of like, eh. So
I think Whitaker will win this.
Oh, me too.
All
I like
things
Whittaker.
considered. But I guess, I don't know, man. I want to say that because I really want to see Natal lose, but the grinding cocksucker could pull some bullshit and hold Whitaker down, hold him against the cage, and make it a bring affair and totally win a lackluster, boring decision. I hope that's not the case, but I wouldn't be fucking surprised to see it happen. It's kind of what he does.
Yeah, and Whitaker's not a punk on the ground. He can hold his own for the most part. He has, I think, like 4 or 5 submission wins, but none of them in the UFC, mind you, I don't think.
Exactly.
But he's a knockout guy. He's got to put his hands on Natal early and often, and hurt him. And basically, I think Whitaker should be able to finish this fight TKO style, unless Natal somehow finds a way to sit on top of him for a while. But Jesse, what do you think about this fight? Who you got?
Yeah, I don't see how Natal's going to be able to beat Robert Whittaker. I mean, look at Whittaker's record here. I mean, his losses include Stephen Thompson by TKO, Court McGee by a split decision, who Court McGee is, getting to that point where he's kind of being a threat to people. His grinding style, his just like iron chin, he has a style that makes you fight him, You have to literally beat that dude's ass before he gives up, And really, I just don't see how Natal's going to be able to do something that everybody else that he's beaten, Mike Rhodes, Clint Hester, Brad Tavares, Uriah Hall, all these guys that he's beaten, hit harder, have better striking, have better ground game, have other things that Natal doesn't have. I just don't see how Natal's going to be able to do anything that Robert Whittaker's going to be like, holy crap, I don't even know what to do here. He's just going to, bite down on his mouthpiece and hit Natal and probably put him to sleep.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I know Whittaker has lost to Court McGee, and we just saw Court McGee get put to shit like a couple days ago. But
True.
Regardless, I think Whittaker's gotten good enough to where he should be able to knock out Natal. Look, let's be honest, Natal does not belong in that cage anymore. I don't think. Just like you were saying, you take his funny ass to WSOF, or he can inject it all up at in Ryzen if he wants to.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Real.
I'm also taking Robert Whittaker TKO. All right. Next fight up, one of the fights that everyone's excited about is the return of Anthony Pettis. Another return of Anthony Pettis. I thought he was done for sure after the last one. Who did he lose to? It was an RDA. It was the other one.
Was it Alvarez?
Alvarez. Yeah.
Alvarez.
He got beat by Alvarez. Now it was split, but Alvarez is basically being a decision guy for a while. Who, by the way, is fighting for the title and Fight Pass against RDA, which is funny in itself. But Anthony Pettis, riding a 2-fight losing streak, needs this win badly. Not because he's in risk of being sent out of the UFC, but worse, risk of not being relevant anymore. That's a real thing. In fact, being irrelevant might be worse than being cut from the UFC, because if you're irrelevant, even Bellator might not want you. But although I'm sure Bellator will sign Pettis, but he needs to have a good showing and a win in this one if possible. Now he's taking on a guy in Edson Barbosa, who's one of the more exciting lightweights out there. He throws spinning shit. He's a striker. He's a hard hitter. But he can be submitted, and Pettis can submit people. Obviously, we saw him armbar Henderson for the belt. So he
from guard, right?
Yeah, from guard.
Yeah.
And it was weird because it didn't look like he was it was in, but he turned the arm just enough to get that ligament to start just ripping apart. It was fucking crazy. And in fact, no one even noticed that Benson tapped. Like Benson tapped, Pettis let go, remember? And it was like the most anticlimactic finish ever. Because Pettis just gets up like, yeah, I won, and everyone looks at what happened. Then they see the replay and they cheered. It was fucking weird. Anyway, Edson Barbosa's coming off a loss to Tony Ferguson by a Bravo choke, but Tony Ferguson is one of the best lightweights out there right now, minus a fucked up lung that he had apparently. But this is going to be a fun fight. It's going to be a good fight. And honestly, I think the winner is going to start barking about, top 5 fights and top 3 fights, and then, ultimately a title shot. But again, lightweight division is fucking stacked. So it's going to be one of those get in line, you're waiting for Conor basically type of deals. But Jesse, what do you think about this fight, man? Who you got?
I kind of want Pettis to lose and then go to Bellator and take Benson's belt away from him again.
Oh, that would be that's shit that books are written about. It'd be the greatest shit, dude. It'd be the greatest troll ever. God damn it! I hope Barbosa knocks him the fuck out.
Pettis keep following him and stealing his belt from him, just whooping his ass every time. Oh, you got 2 belts over there? Okay, I'm gonna take those. But I don't know. I think this fight is kind of custom built for Anthony Pettis to shine. Edson Barbosa is not a takedown guy. He's not a guy that's gonna run you down the pipe and put you against the fence and try to take you down and beat you up. He's just gonna stand there, throw those heavy leg kicks and try to kick your head into the stands. Make it look good. And I think Anthony Pettis shines against that. I think the blueprint is out there to beat Anthony Pettis, and it's those type of guys like Dos Anjos, Eddie Alvarez, Melendez. I think Melendez was really doing a good job. He just got caught in that second round. But it's that grinding style, that wrestling mixed in with that dirty boxing that really he has trouble with, and it just seems like he doesn't learn how to fix that. He changed wrestling coaches. Now he's with Izzy Martinez. He's going down to Greg Jackson to try and change something up. And I hate when people when fighters change something up in the middle of their camp, because it kind of, to me, it tells me that something's wrong. They feel that something's not right. The same thing with what's his name that's fighting Luke Rockhold.
Chris Weidman.
Weidman, he brought in a different coach to for him to show him something else. And to me, it's like he's just not confident that he's going to get in there and beat Luke Rockhold. So I just think that this is the best time for Edson Barbosa to take on Anthony Pettis to take that next step. Hopefully, Anthony Pettis can win, but I think I see other ways that Edson Barbosa can win this fight.
Yeah, and Danny Moore on YouTube saying, once again, Big Pettis will not be looking for a highlight knockout. Jackson Wink will make Pettis chill on the Taekwondo. He will be better. Barbosa throws looping shots. Pettis throws linear shots. That's a good point. Because Barbosa is looking for a highlight, nasty-ass knockout. And Pettis is much more accurate. But, Fred, who you got in this fight, man?
Yeah, I think that Jesse nailed it, man. Here's the thing. Fucking, like he said, there's a blueprint to beat Anthony Pettis, but it is not Edson Barbosa, Jack. As a matter of fact, it's going to work opposite in that realm. Edson Barbosa is a real straightforward kind of Muay Thai striker. Like you said, heavy leg kicks, throws the big head kick, looping fucking hooks and shit. For all of Anthony Pettis' faults in losing to guys like Clay Guida and the wrestle fuckers, the Eddie Alvarez's, sorry, Eddie, but you did low-key wrestle fuck you for that win. He is a hell of a creative striker. He's very good at striking, you know what I'm saying? And he's effective and fucking can hurt you as a striker. And Edson Barbosa, low-key, has a glass made of jaw. A glass made of jaw. There we go. A jaw made of glass. And, you know what I'm saying? He gets rocked kind of easy. I think that Anthony Pettis will finish Edson Barbosa in under 2 rounds and look low-key fantastic doing it. The fight that he's tailored to win.
There you go. I'm taking Barbosa in this one. So I like Pettis, but just like Jesse said, if you feel a need to change something halfway through, you're realizing that you're kind of fucked. You know what I mean? You're realizing that there's a big hole in your own game. You
said you're taking Barbosa?
Yeah.
Holy shit. You're not doing any fantasy shit on this card, are you, Eddie? Because I'm telling you, you fucking suck. You a bunch of fucking who's a hers.
I'm a big fan of picking the underdog, motherfucker, so... yeah.
Clearly. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Barbosa, he's going to get fucking smoked like a... Well, whatever. He's going to get tarnished.
Yeah, you better hope. I think Anthony Pettis is going to be nervous as fuck, and he's going to see it on that walkout. Anyway,
stop
all
it.
right. Time for the first title fight of the night. Demetrius Johnson defending his belt against Henry Cejudo way too early in his career, but at 125, this motherfucker. But at 125, there's not a lot of guys you can throw at him. So Henry Cejudo gets the next shot. Obviously, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. DJ is probably the most, complete fighter in MMA. And Fred Kirby doesn't like it. So how about you go first? What do you think of this fight, if anything at all?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I know let the hate rain in from all you goofy little pricks out there, but I can't stand watching DJ fight. I don't care how fucking much Joe tells us he's technical or his one little silly-ass knockout against fucking Dirty Joe. He's not fun to watch fight. And you know what? I was talking to a buddy about this earlier today. All bullshit aside, I don't really know why I loathe watching him fight so much. It's not that horrible, but for some reason, I just cannot get pumped up for a fucking Mighty Mouse fight. I just can't. I don't care. Maybe it's got something to do with the challenger. Obviously, Cejudo's not ready for this shit. He probably needs at least 2 more like high-profile fights, one of which he would probably lose if they had the right contenders. Basically he's a wrestler with rudimentary striking. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Cejudo's anywhere near ready for this fight, to be honest with you. DJ's going to run over him, and it's still going to be boring to watch.
Yeah, and look, Cejudo has size on DJ, but so has everybody else.
Right.
Like, nobody's been smaller, and very few have been the same size as DJ, if any. And I think the quickness factor is going to be an issue. I don't think Cejudo's quick enough. I think maybe in the first round, maybe his first 2 rounds will be quick enough to land something on DJ. He's going to have to do it and do it heavy. But I just don't think he's quick enough to stay with DJ. I think DJ's going to pick him.
Dude, real shit, like, Cejudo's wrestling hasn't even been all that effective, has it?
He hasn't used it. Like, and here's the thing. DJ was making that exact point on the embedded thing. This is fighting. This isn't wrestling.
Who'd he fight last?
Cejudo beat...
Formiga.
Yeah, Formiga.
Okay, was his wrestling effective in that fight? I feel like the last fight I saw him fight, he was shooting for takedowns and getting stuffed.
I don't
know what I'm saying?
remember.
Like, I don't feel like his wrestling, he's no fucking Khabib. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not in there just ragdolling folks like you would think he was, because he's like an Olympic medalist, right?
Yeah.
He's got some crazy accolades, and I just don't think he really lives up to it in the cage, so to speak. He doesn't come across as some dynamic, crazy fucking, like, wrestle grappler at all, really.
Well, I think the problem is we put too much stock in what they're coming from, and we don't see how they actually learn how to use MMA wrestling. MMA wrestling, it's not about trying to just take somebody down and try to acquire points, and then you stop, and then you start again, and all that stuff. I mean, Khabib, the thing about him is that he'll do. I think it was Luke Thomas. He did a breakdown of the takedown he did in his last fight. He literally counted like 4 or 5 different transitional takedowns. If one didn't work, he'd try something else. He'd move his position. He'd do all this stuff. And I think what we see from Cejudo is that he just does one takedown, and then that doesn't work. Okay, he separates, and then he tries for a different takedown. But he's not trying to chain wrestle. He's just trying to you do one, and then if it doesn't work, he just either tries to drive through it and then gets beat up a little bit, or he just lets go, and then he's that type of guy that's fallen in love with his hands, and that's the big issue I have with Cejudo. He thinks that he's going to be a boxer. He's going to use his hands to knock people out. And I think the problem is because he had 4 TKO finishes in his first 4 fights.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of fell in love with that power in his hands, and he kind of, to me, he kind of didn't evolve his wrestling to be into MMA. Hopefully, I think that his wrestling could be good. He could get that that wrestling where it's like very dominant, where he chains all those different moves together. It takes you down in different varieties. But I just, I in my head I was trying to convince myself to pick Cejudo, but the problem is I just see that DJ has been against wrestlers, he's been against strikers, he's been against everybody, and none of them have been able to effectively, neutralize what DJ does. And I just don't see it happening, dude. I think DJ's gonna work this dude, and I think he's gonna finish him.
Yeah, and Okay, you think DJ's gonna finish Cejudo?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing about Cejudo, man. It's he's just hasn't shown anything dominant. You know what I mean? Like decision after decision, there were a couple split ones. And the last fight against Formiga, I think now that I'm thinking about it, Fred's right. He got stuffed a couple times. That's an Olympic gold medalist getting stuffed. So by a guy that's like, I mean, what's Formiga, a jiu-jitsu guy?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, maybe he spent a lot of time training, takedown defense. It's great. You should for sure against a guy like Cejudo. But Demetrius Johnson has shown that he can stop basically everybody. Anybody's attack, he finds a way to neutralize your attack and then peppers you for 5 rounds.
You know what I would like to see with that division, honestly, if DJ wins this fight, which more than likely he will, take your funny ass up to 35. You talk about people having like these super fights and shit. Damn the super fights. Just like move on up, man. You know what I'm saying? Or at least like fucking politic for a championship fight at 35 or something, because I could not care a less about the flyweight division. I'm not trying to be a cunt. I'm just saying, like, it's not exciting. Maybe it's DJ's dominance, but I don't feel like that's the case either, because when Anderson was dominant, I still tuned the fuck in. There was no place I would have rather been when Anderson was having his reign than seeing if he was going to win that next fight. Man, whatever, Jack.
Well, okay. Let's think about this though. What fights were you tuning in for Anderson? Because I know for a fact that it wasn't when he fought. Who was it? In Abu Dhabi. Who was it?
No, listen, it was
the jiu-jitsu guy.
Damian Maia. No, listen.
Damian Maia.
It was.
Everybody jumped off the bandwagon on him at that point, because if you look at the fights before and that fight, he only had one dominant performance before that, and that was his first fight against what's his name, the guy that can't fight MMA no more. The Ultimate Fighter guy. What's that?
No, not Hardy. I'm sorry.
God, I forget his name. Anyway, not important. But anyway, after that fight, he kind of didn't really string together like the most amazing performances. Like his only amazing performances were against the champ when he like kneed him into oblivion, and that was 2 fights. And then his 3 fights after that, it was just decision wins where he was just dancing around and nobody gave a crap about him until he was about to lose his title because of the Damian Maia stuff. And then Chael Sonnen came in, and he had this big resurgence, really. And I think that's what Demetrius Johnson is lacking. He's lacking somebody that brings out the thug in Demetrius Johnson. Because if you hear him, when he talks about something that he doesn't care about, or he just, like, that pisses him off, he'll get like thuggish, He'll be like, man, fuck that, I'm going to do this, like even on his Twitch, he talks crap to things that he cares about. Mm-hmm. But none of these fighters bring it out of him, He's fought, guys that, either don't speak English or just don't have that ability to talk, like even Cejudo, he's not really saying anything that's driving this fight, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm Olympic medalist, I'm just gonna get in there, and it's like, dude, you need to do something to make it exciting. And I agree, like Fred, like you need that excitement to kind of get people, aboard. Because if I tell people, oh, this guy's awesome and everything, and I show them the highlights, there ain't nothing there. They ain't no crap talking. There's nobody like John Jones telling them, get your shit together. There's no like elbows to the face. There's none of that. Like that makes it exciting.
That's it though. Honestly, I think DJ plays it a little safe. He's a very great fighter, but I would kind of like to see him throw caution to the wind a little bit and savagely beat somebody. Listen, that's kind of what I tune in for, man. I'll tell you what, BJ Penn is probably my favorite fighter of all time, and I can still remember one of the like times that I'll like be etched in my memory. And it's the fucking time, was it like Joe Daddy, where he licked the blood off his gloves?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what the fuck I'm talking about, man. Like, that shit made me a fan forever, Jack. When he fights Dennis Seaver's funny ass, I'll be fucking tuned right the fuck in because of that moment. DJ needs one of those moments, man. He's too mechanical and too, he needs to fucking, this is the fight game, man. It's not fucking polo. I want to see him savagely beat somebody. What the fuck? And just give me something to tune in for.
Yeah, and here's the thing about DJ. Look, and remember when Jose Aldo was he's champ for fucking forever, right? Didn't lose a fight in 10 years. Was never more popular than when Conor McGregor shit-talked him. DJ needs a nemesis, and John Dodson was not it. He needs a nemesis that can actually win fights. John Dodson losing his shit, and then getting styled on by DJ. He needs someone that's gonna push him and piss him off. I mean, you talk about someone that brings it out of him. That's a guy. They need a guy like that. Maybe not a Conor McGregor exactly, but someone that pisses them off a little bit.
DJ needs more emphatic wins too, though.
That's
One
it.
thing about Anderson, he had the fucking crazy spinning back elbow to Tony Strickland. He had those crazy wins. Even Jose Aldo, he kind of sputtered out there towards the end, but there for a while, he was fucking dominant, just destroying people. And you can kind of rest on those laurels for a while. If you get a couple really fucking gnarly wins where you fucking rearrange somebody's face, that shit kind of stands the test of time. Guys, don't forget those wins. If DJ comes out and leaves a fucking scar on goddamn it Sujudo like he's a fucking backup fucking actor on the Game of Thrones, I'll bet you motherfuckers remember it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We'll all walk away going, yo, you see what Mighty Mouse did to Homeboy's fucking face?
But you
true.
also have that. I mean, to me, you have that already kind of signature knockout when he knocked out what was it? The Alpha Male guy. You know,
Joe.
Dirty
Yeah.
Joe.
He
That was
put
too
his
quick.
lights completely out. Yeah, and I think that's the problem. I think he needs to do maybe like 2 of those in a row. Because think back to Mighty Mouse's wins. I mean, he had a guy that was on EPO and still gassed out, and he was like whooping on him, just like beating him. But that dude was so tough that he couldn't put him away. Then he beat who was it in the last the last second of the 5th round?
He's got like 2 of those.
You see that he's trying to finish those fights. And like you said, he plays it safe, but then he's like, all right, I think I can get away with this. I can get away with this, and then he pushes towards the end. And
Right.
I get what you're saying. Like if he pushes harder towards the beginning of the fights, maybe we could get those like epic knockouts, epic finishes that like would bring him, to the front.
Exactly. Go blow him the fuck out of the water and then call out fucking Dominic Cruz. You know what I'm saying? That it's kind of sad, but it's true. People get all bent out of shape about, oh, I hate seeing Conor McGregor talk shit. What is this, the WWF? Keep your fucking panties on. It's not the WWF. You know what I love about this shit is you got to back it up. You talk all that shit you want, but eventually you got to get in the cage with that motherfucker. And that's what makes it all great. You know what I mean? Call Dominic out. Set up them big fights, man. Give us something to be fucking excited for.
Yeah,
but I think that's why most guys don't, talk all that shit because, they're afraid that they're going to get in there and then they're going to get their face punched in and then they're going to be like, oh man, I can never talk anymore because I just got my ass whooped, It's only those few elite guys like, John Jones, Conor McGregor, well, up until his last fight, Diaz. But even in the loss, like look at Diaz, like he'll talk mad shit to people. And he might lose or he might win, but people still love him because he's real. He's like, this is what it is and that's it.
No guts, no glory, man.
Yeah, and I mean, and just like you were saying, the Diaz brothers are real. They're saying what they mean, and they're gonna keep saying it, win or lose. Hell, even that fight against Benson Henderson when he's on top of Nate Diaz still flipping him off and punching him in the side of some shit. Like fuck you, bop bop bop. It was till the end, man. The thing about Conor, a lot of his fans shut their trap. Like they stopped talking all that shit about Conor, or at least most. Like, there's a lot of, not all of them, but a pretty good amount of Conor fans shut the fuck up after his last fight. You know what I mean? Because I mean, remember that one interview they had right away when they announced the fight against Nate, and they were asking Conor, like, hey, you're going up 20 pounds or 25 pounds to fight Nate Diaz, and Conor immediately goes, and I'm still gonna make it look easy, and then he got stopped. You know what I mean? So you got to back it up. That's the thing about shit talking MMA. You got to back it up. And WWE, they talk all that shit, but even while he's talking, he knows who's gonna win. That shit is scripted to the end. So it's different, but it does annoy some people for sure. All right, next fight up, obviously the main event. John Jones returns. Hasn't fought since January of last year, and then he did some stupid shit, got himself in a lot of trouble. Taking on a late edition OSP after Dana Cormier. I think he jacked his. Did he mess his knee up or something? Do you remember, Jesse?
Yeah, his leg or something. I don't know, his toe.
Yeah. His pinky toes hurt.
His pinky toes hurt. But DC basically foot injury, leg injury. Actually, before they even announced it, they saw him at a wrestling tournament. He could barely walk. So that wasn't much of a rumor. That was people had seen him not be able to fucking walk. But regardless, DC's out, OSP is in, and pretty much nobody's giving OSP a chance outside of OSP's camp. I think OSP could win. I really do. But I'm excited to see John Jones.
Picky, Maddie. Go ahead. Just fulfill your promise.
I can't. I'm picking Jones. I'm picking Jones in this one. First of all, I'm excited to see what John Jones has now. You know what I mean? all the the actual training now and supposedly being focused outside of doing stupid shit like driving. But other than that, I'm excited to see what John Jones has. But Jesse, what do you think about this fight? Who you got?
Oh man. All right. So I'm picking John Jones. Like straight out, I'm picking John Jones. But if we're gonna live in a fairy tale land and we're gonna say that OSP can win this fight, I think the way he wins this fight is that this is the time. If you're his coach, you just go up to him and go, look, you're not gonna win this fight if you try to stick and move and try to decision to win. You're not gonna win. What you got to do here is go forward, try to knock his ass out, and make him knock you out. That's how you're gonna win this fight, OSP. You're gonna go up to him, punch him in his face, and make him punch you and knock you out. That's the only way that OSP is gonna win, I think. If he makes it into an actual fight, he doesn't let John Jones, start getting those, kicks off, those spinning elbows and all that stuff, and he just makes him just get in his face and fight him. Didn't work too well for Glover Teixeira, but I think the power that OSP brings is going to be something that I think could hurt John Jones and be in OSP's favor. The other thing is that I think that the whole drama with him being off for so long, the added weight that he's been doing now, weight training and all this stuff, that he actually had to cut a little bit more weight to get to 205. Just all the other stuff. I think right now is the right time to catch John Jones and probably do an upset. But again, I just unless OSP is with that mindset of coming out there and kill or be killed, he's not going to win this fight.
I don't know what's going on with the audio over in the UK, but Andrew tweets over. Fred sounds like he's in a toilet, and Jesse sounds like he's down a hole. So I guess the audio is kind of funny for Andy.
Andrew's ears don't work good. He's old, Jack. He's old.
Danny on YouTube says OSP by knockout round 2. Mike Jeff says OSP with the biggest upset in human history. And then Danny returns with OSP wins by John Jones forearms, not being able to block his round kicks to the body and then getting knocked out. Woo! What do you think, Fred?
Yeah. Danny, keep sniffing those bath salts, homeboy. That's working out for you. Check this out. OSP is going to get slaughtered. Listen. Everybody made such a big deal about this whole Conor McGregor thing. And look, I'm a big Conor fan and all. But I'll tell you something, just quickly off topic. I wasn't really on Conor's side with this whole thing, man. Everybody's got to go do that shit, you know what I'm saying? They took the GSP fight away from Nick because he fucking missed a couple flights. There are certain things that's wrote into your contract, and no matter who you are, you got to do that shit. And I like Conor, and he sells a lot of tickets right now. But make no mistake about it, Conor is not bigger than the UFC, and they will not bend. Maybe a little. Maybe he does get back on UFC 200. Maybe. But he will go to those next 2 fucking press junkets, and he will make that shit because he is not bigger than the UFC. My point with all this is John Jones comes back this weekend. John fucking Jones is incredible, right? His story is something of fucking fairy tale lore. The guy is literally probably the living goat of our sport, having thrashed fucking past champions and just everybody you could put in front of the fucking guy. Looked impressive as fuck doing it. And is literally his only worst. He is his worst enemy. You know what I'm saying? Short of the drugs and the bullshit. And then when you think about what he accomplished with what he was probably doing in between with the fucking coke and the whores, John Jones is a fucking literal prodigy. He is the greatest fighter we've ever seen. That dude makes his return this weekend. MMA does not need Conor McGregor. You know what I'm saying? This is a hell of a story. And then he gets a last-minute substitute in OSP. So we have this very much a rocky fucking, crazy story where OSP most certainly should get killed, but it's MMA, right? We're all going to buy the fight and tune in because crazier shit has happened. OSP's a big guy. And actually, he's quite awkward. He throws these fucking weirdy-beardy strikes and these weird fucking, looping uppercuts and shit. And maybe in a weird alternative universe, he could throw a weird uppercut and clip John right on the chin. If he takes Jesse's advice and he just kind of bum rushes him, he's a big man. If he comes out throwing wild strikes, anything's possible. But short of that, John Jones is the greatest fighter that we have ever seen fight. And he will fucking tactically dismantle OSP under 3 rounds if he is anything like he was before. And I would imagine he is. He doesn't seem like the type of guy. He seems like the type of guy that this shit comes natural to. You know what I mean? He's the type of guy that. How old was he when he thrashed out Shogun?
21?
Yeah.
20 fucking 1. Holy
He's
shit!
young.
You don't want to know what I was doing when I was 21. You know what I mean? Wasn't fucking thrashing out Shogun and making it look easy. He made Shogun tap by strikes back when Shogun was still kind of Shogun.
Yeah.
Rampage, just a laundry list of guys, man. John Jones is the best fighter that we have ever seen. He is kind of what Conor claims to be. So, all due respect to OSP, he's at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he's getting the title shot, or a quote-unquote interim title shot against the wrong fucking guy. And I think that John, I'll tell you something, I don't think that John has turned over a new leaf. I think that after he thrashes OSP, he'll celebrate with a little blow and a couple white girls. And I don't blame him.
Think so too.
But I still think the dude is the best fighter on planet Earth, man. So barring something kind of lucky or unforeseen, Jones is going to fucking steamroll OSP. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's what I tune in for. I tell you what, he's going to give OSP a lot more of a beating than fucking Mighty Mouse gives Cejudo, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Fred. I was thinking about that too, about that whole Conor McGregor and the press thing, and I always thought that eventually somebody was gonna have the balls to tell UFC, I'm not doing all the press that you want me to do, and I always figured that somebody was gonna stand up to him and be like, dude, you're putting me on a plane to go to New York, Chicago, LA, Vegas, and then fly back my ass back to where I'm from. And I always figured that somebody was going to be like, this is too much. You have to, cut down the schedule for me, at least a little bit. And I kind of feel Conor in that sense where he's like, dude, just let me come to the big one, in New York. Let me come to, a couple ones that are happening over here, but just let me finish up this part of my training before I have to do all the other stuff. I kind of, understand where he's coming from. And, I also see the UFC's point of view where they're like, dude, we're having this big-ass, everybody's coming down. Why aren't you coming? But I was figured that somebody was going to be like, dude, come on, this is way too hard of a schedule to, be a fighter and, promote the fight.
Listen, you know why it's fair? You just said it. Nate was there. You think Nate don't got a fucking training camp going on?
True.
Listen, if everybody else shows up, then you not showing up gives you an unfair advantage because everybody else had to get their funny ass on a plane and go out to wherever the fuck. And that's the thing. Does Conor have to do every fucking shitbird fucking morning show across America? No. But that one was mandatory. And when you sign on the dotted line, you sign to a lot more than just fighting Nate Diaz. You sign to a specific time, a specific place, a specific weight, and, all the media obligations he has, if I'm not mistaken, are in that contract.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that shit when he signs on the dotted line, man, and everybody else does. So as much as I like Conor, they can't bend the rules for you because you don't feel like leaving training camp, man. Sorry.
Yeah, and look, McGregor's coming off a loss, and that was embarrassing for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, it was a risk, but he kept saying, I'm going to make it look easy and all that shit, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and if anything, he looked stupid. Nate embarrassed him. Nate embarrassed him badly. So he's got to be insanely obsessed, ridiculously obsessed, right? And so now he wants to train, and having to fly from fucking Iceland all the way to Vegas, and then to Stockton, and then to New York is going to take a lot of time. And look, I didn't read any official shit, but rumor is the UFC offered to send him a private plane. The UFC offered to set him up at a gym, the exact setup he has in Iceland. They told him, we'll set up a gym just like that. You know what I mean?
And bring his whole team with him, too.
And bring his whole team with him, too. Okay? They offered all that shit. He still said no. He wants to be focused. Basically, the thing is the media, the pressers. The media is his issue. And I think I was watching the last Rogan JRE with Brendan Schaub. And Schaub said that Conor told him when they were having lunch or whatever that he's just tired of doing media. It just drags on him. Doing media obligations are too much on him, apparently. And that it was getting into his training, and apparently Conor used it as some of an excuse for his loss against Nate and a bunch of other shit. Regardless, you're right. He has obligations. He should have been there. He should have been there, and that's kind of it. So now it's like UFC against Conor. Who's going to blink first? And it certainly wasn't the UFC, not yet, right? But it's,
it won't be in the grand scheme of things. Maybe he gets back on 200, maybe, but he will fulfill his contract obligations, man. That's just the way it goes. Like I said, Conor's cute. But look, man, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Conor didn't exist. And we all tuned the fuck in to see whoever the fuck we cared about at that time, man. There was a time when we all tuned in to see Chuck Liddell. MMA will go on with or without Conor McGregor. As much as I like dude, he is not the fucking sport, man. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, it is what it is, man. You can't fucking sign a contract that says you're going to do A, B, and C and then be like, yo, I'm not doing C. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Point blank, man. That's what you're getting paid to do. Yes, you are. That's like motherfucking dude being like, you know what? I ain't feeling the fact that this fight's in Vegas. I want it in Ireland. Tough titty. I want to fuck Rihanna. You can't. Motherfucker, you got to show up to this motherfucking presser. It's not optional. Fuck you and Iceland. We'll send you a plane. You can bring all those Polish pricks with you, but you come or you're off the fucking card, period.
No, Danny Moore on YouTube saying Conor didn't create the best organization for MMA in the world. They created him, pretty much. Like look, don't get it twisted. He definitely helped the UFC get to where they are right now, right? But he's not bigger, and he's not gonna be. When Conor McGregor is gone, somebody else will be in that place.
No, hold on though. I don't think he helped the UFC get anywhere. He helped the UFC. Nah, help, man. What the fuck? Get somewhere?
No, not get somewhere. But get more popular. How's that?
He made them a lot of money. But do you think he brought a whole lot of new fans to the sport? Nah, bruh. Everybody that loves Conor was a martial arts fan. Like, maybe not everybody, but I don't think he brought legions of new fans. He's no fucking Brock Lesnar or Ronda Rousey. He's not.
Well, I'll tell you this, Fred. Being in Vegas for the first time he was fighting in Vegas, that felt like Ireland came. And I've been there. And to several of those fights, and I haven't seen that many Irish dudes ever, congregated to see one guy. So, I mean, like, that he built the UFC, that he made it better, not really. That he brought different eyes to the sport, yes. That he brought a whole new set of, like, fans that nobody had ever thought of reaching, no. The person that brought those new fans was Ronda Rousey. Right. Ronda Rousey was the one that was on Good Morning America, that was on all these TV and radio shows. She's the one that opened all those up, and then Conor went through that door as well and brought, more eyes. But he didn't open those doors. He's not the one that did all that. But the problem is, I think the other problem is that the UFC catered to him a little too much. Oh yeah, we're gonna bring a bunch of your teammates into the UFC. Oh, we're gonna pay you this much. Oh, you want to get paid more? Yeah, no problem. Oh, you want to get like your own private workout session where the media has to wait for you for 2 hours for you to warm up, stretch, and then do your workout. And they cater to him too much, I think. And now he's like, well, I want to do this too. And they're like, okay, no. This is where the buck stops. You got to do this. But you notice too, though, that Dana White usually, like, even when the whole Nick Diaz happened, he was pissed. He was like, man, he's never fighting again. He's off this card. Da. Like, when you saw him on SportsCenter, he was like, no, we're still friends. We're still good. He knows, too, that he's got a little cash cow, an ATM machine, that as long as he's on a card, they're going to be able to cash those big checks because they know a lot of eyes are going to be on that card. But it doesn't mean, like you said, that they're not going to have a lot of eyes on that card anyway. But they know that they're going to have those extra eyes that are coming to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. And Danny Moore says on here, he goes, he gave white people someone to cheer for. And Irish equals a white guy.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm sure for a lot of people it's true.
He hit some Irish people to the sport, and I'm sure he brought in some new fans in that way. I just mean in that, like, he didn't help grow the sport in any mainstream way. You know what I mean? Like Ronda Rousey introducing it to young girls and shit. You didn't get, he didn't have that kind of he doesn't have that kind of a crossover appeal. I love Conor McGregor, but he's a fighter, you know what I'm saying? He's the type of guy that us hardcore heads were looking at and we're excited about and shit, you know what I'm saying? But he's definitely not, listen, point blank, the UFC does not need Conor McGregor.
No, and you're right. They don't need him, but
no.
But I'll say this much, all right? The ESPN is now like, look, Conor McGregor, all the talking that he did and all that shit, slowly but surely, all these ESPN, Fox Sports, all these networks realize, hey, people like watching this shit. So you know what they do? Start having interviews with him and Nate Diaz on the other side, or him and, well, you can't have Jose Aldo, don't speak English, but whatever. him and his opponent. You literally can go, hey, look, Connor, here's the mic. Don't cuss. Go. And he goes. Right? As scripted as the shit sounds, he goes. And so he did help a little bit, but not. You're right. UFC would be just fine without Connor. But
look also at the effect that Connor did. After Nate Diaz whooped his ass, where was Nate Diaz? He was on Entertainment Tonight or whatever that show was.
What that Good Morning America? Yeah. He was talking about. Yeah. I think some chick asked him, "What would you do if Bieber was here?" He goes, "Smack."
Yeah.
Like
when have you ever heard of a MMA fighter on any of those shows? Never. True. So I mean, his effect is that door that Ronda Rousey opened. Now more people get to walk through it because of him. True. But that doesn't mean that he's the one that kicked that door open.
No, for sure.
True.
All right, so safe to say everybody's picking John Jones, right?
Yep, everyone's got John Jones for sure, and DJ. So, all right, to finish off the show, we're all watching real quick. Kirby, Connor fights at the UFC this year.
Yeah, of course. Yeah? Of course, yeah, for sure.
Jesse?
Yeah. What about GSP? Is he fighting this year?
No. That's a lot better of a question. I feel like the UFC has him wrapped up for something special, either on New Year's Eve or maybe the New York show. But I don't know. They're keeping it pretty close to the vest. I wouldn't be surprised either way, but I'll say yeah. I'll say the UFC pulls out the big dollars and brings old Georgie back.
Well, Eddie knows the insight that I have. So I mean that he's down at Wild Card whooping some ass, getting ready. He's in ripped shape. So I don't know if. To me, it kind of sounds like he's ready for a 200. They just gotta get that Reebok thing straightened out. But I mean, from what I hear down at Wildcard, he's serious. He's getting ready for it. So
yeah, and here's the thing about GSP is it is the Reebok thing. Like that's what they're saying is the issue. And he says the rumor is that he told the UFC, look, you make up for it, or Reebok makes up for it, but I gotta get paid. I'm not taking this $50,000 bullshit from Reebok or $20,000, whatever it is that they give him. I would be happy to see him. I would hope it's not the safe GSP that just lays on top of you. But
yeah, honestly, I don't care, to be honest with you. Fuck, I mean, it'd be cool because everybody will get fired up about it, but I ain't been excited for a GSP fight since he fucking snuffed out Matt Hughes.
Yeah, I just wonder who you would put him against because I don't think it'd be Robbie Lawler.
No, hell no, dude.
It has to be, don't it? Like he never lost his belt.
True.
No. Do you want to see him get all like jacked up again, like when Matt Serra hit him? You don't want to see that again.
Yeah.
I do actually. I really do.
If he's going to come back, that's pretty much what I would like to see him come back, take his beating, and then he can go off into the sunset.
Yeah. Otherwise, because I really hope if they make that fight against let's say GSP against Lawler for some reason at 200, I really do not care to see GSP dry hump Lawler for 5 rounds. That really is something I do not want to see. I just hope he comes back and actually fights, but we'll see. Yep. Anyway, yeah, that way we don't have to finish on the potato goblin like Andrew just said. He goes, "Sigh, more potato goblin stuff." Oh, okay, real quick, last question here before we go. Andrew says Fedor to the UFC. Fedor to the UFC. Jesse, what do you think? Happens or no?
No, I mean he's not gonna pass any of those USADA tests. Like, come on, be real. Look at that guy. That dude's like fucking ripped up on everything. So I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
No, here's the reality, man. If Fedor wanted to be in the UFC, he'd have been in the UFC a long time ago.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah, and look, Fedor did the other day just say that it's highly likely, or there's a good chance some shit like that he ends up in the UFC. I don't see it, but he's taking it. Here's the thing, he's taking his time, right? If he wants to get in the UFC, hurry the fuck up. But he's taking his fucking sweet time, and he's gonna, people are gonna care less and less. The casuals are gonna care less and less. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't even care no more. So.
Yeah. All right, quick look at the headlines here, and of course everything is McGregor. Mitrione will fight for Bellator at Dynamite 2 in June.
Does nobody give a crap about Benson fighting for the belt tonight?
No, because it's a foregone conclusion he's gonna win that shit.
Nope, nobody cares.
Seriously, nobody's talking about it. Like if you go on like MMA fighting, there's one article that's talking about tonight's fights, and that's the results page. That's it. Okay. Otherwise, they talk about MVP already has his next opponent for London at 158, taking on some guy named Fernando Gonzalez, who's another fucking can. and then Mitrio's going to fight at Dynamite too. Otherwise, nobody's talking about Bellator whatsoever. Connor and UFC 197 is in fact UFC 200
listen,
and 187.
Are you guys
dominating.
fucking high? We got Connor and motherfucking John Jones returning tomorrow. I don't give a F about Bellator. All due respect, Benson, you either, homeboy. You picked the wrong weekend to come back.
Yeah, for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for us. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Shout out to Aaron Robbins for joining us for a while. Fred Kirby, appreciate it. You can follow him at Kirby_MMA. Jesse is at Spawat1983. I'm at Elaw31 on Twitter. Appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Shout out to Danny, Andrew, Mike, and everybody else that watched. Nick was on for a little bit on the YouTube. So you guys have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful night, and enjoy the fights tomorrow. See you guys later.
Yes, sir. Later, bro.
Peace.